Okay, great. Many thanks. Great to see all of you here for the first talk after our great meal last night. So I'm DeborahBaines. I work at ESSAC and I work for the ESSAC Science Data Centre. So we're the team that maintain and develop the Space Science Archives for ESA.
Sorry.
No problem. And I want to tell you about the tool that we also developed, which is ESA Sky. And I'll go into some specific details as well about the how to explore the high energy universe in ESA Sky. But it's also a fantastic tool for multi-wavelength exploration. So here's a quick introduction, an overview of my talk. So I'll give you an introduction about ESA Sky. There may be some of you in the room that don't know the tool. I'll talk about high energy data and useful functionalities in ESA Sky. I'm going to give you a demo, try and keep everybody awake first thing this morning. And then I'll tell you about our future plans and summary. So the goal of when we first started developing ESA Sky, which was 10 years ago now, the goal was to facilitate data discovery and archival science. And ESA Sky is a portal, it's a web portal that is multi-wavelength, multi-mission, and we're now adding multi-messenger to the portal. So you can access more than 100 missions, metadata, and you have access to the data through the portal. There are thousands of catalogues, which I'll show you, mainly thanks to a connection to Vizier, and more than 1,000 HIPs, so the background skies. And the tool has always been driven by science cases and the feedback that we receive from yourselves, the scientific community. Now, this is a layer that kind of sits on top of the ESA Astronomy archives, but it also connects to archives now from other agencies, ESA as well, so ground-based. And it doesn't replace the archives. It's like a high-level, quick look, what data is available, data that's available in your region of interest. And then you want to know, if you want to know, get into the details of the data, there's very easy access then to the archives where you can drill down for more information. So I'll go to a very fast demo introduction to ESA Sky. So this is just to give you a quick feel of what's available. So you come to ESA Sky in your browser, and I've clicked on the science mode. You're somewhere in the sky. You can zoom in, zoom out. Over on the right-hand side, you have the search area. So you can type in your object of interest and the tool goes to it. If it's resolved by Simbad. And you can change the background sky. So we have this ordered by wavelength in the drop-down menu. And then you have different default skies in each wavelength that you can load up, and you can load this up in a stack. And here's a quick showing you how to access even more HIPs. So I'll take you through this in another demo in a bit more detail. And you can load these up and then play through them or use the slider. Then we have access to data with all of these buttons along the top left. So here I'm showing access to imaging observations. Clicking on Hubble, you see the footprints in the sky. You can filter these tables. You have previews coming straight from the archive, a link to the archive, and with a few clicks of the button, you have access to the highest level science product decided by the mission. Similarly, there's access to catalogues. This is an old video, so we have DR13 now in ESA Sky, and you have access to spectra and light curves. Then the next button, we provide access to external data centers. So we're accessing 5 large data centers in this sort of dashboard area, one of which is CSARC. And then we've recently, last March, no, actually, added access to the IVO TAP registry. I'll show you this in more detail as well in another video. So this is like very quick intro. Whistle stop tour. And we have a tab as well for Vizier. So you can search for any catalogues within Vizier. You can load up the catalogues. If you know ADQL, you can do ADQL queries as well in ESA Sky. So maybe you know ADQL through the Gaia archive. The next button, we have access to multi-messenger events. So IceCube neutrino events and gravitational wave events. We are listening for the IceCube neutrino events to GCN, and their new candidate events are added within a minute. And for the gravitational wave events, we have the probability map as well that you can load up in the sky, and you have the confidence contours as well drawn on the sky. So we've added observing run 4A, and we also have observing run 3 within the tool. Then we have access to publications. So this is linking to the CDS service. So every icon that you see here is an object that has an associated publication. I'll show you that more in detail later on. And we have an observations planning tool. So we developed this first with the James Webb instruments. And we've just recently added, just a few months ago, we've added the XMM Newton epic. And we have this target list functionality as well. So you can load up your own list of targets. You can play through them. We also have some default target lists that you can run through. So, great, thank you. So how are our users using ESA Sky for your science? On how, if you've never used it before, this might give you some ideas what you can do. So a lot of people are using it for visual inspection, and they're looking at the skies. These are the hierarchical progressive surveys, the HIPS, which Laurent mentioned in his talk. They're comparing images, maybe previews, they're comparing catalogues, on footprints on the sky, probability regions, and a lot of these things in combination. And then they're data mining and downloading all of the data. We also have functionality where you can search for observations of solar system objects. These are both targeted and serendipitous. I'm not going to show you this feature today, but if you'd like to know more, there's a paper by Elena Racero, 2022, or you can chat with me afterwards. Oh, sorry, gone the wrong way. You can visualize the sky coverages if you zoom out, and you can actually filter on these coverages. Search for publications, as I said. So these are all sources that have that are associated to a publication. You can also search for an author. So up in the search field, you can actually type your surname, and all of the sources that you have associated in your papers that CDS have linked to will pop up in a list. So in ESA Sky, so that's quite a fun thing to try. So search for your own sources. You can put in a bib code as well up in the search, and you get all the sources associated to that paper. Users are using this to plan observations for James Webb. Obviously, we've added the XMM Newton epic footprint after the last AO. And you can upload and play through target lists, as I just mentioned. So looking at the high energy region, we have, as default, we have 12 of these HIPS background, HIPS, high energy, but then there are a further more than 60 in the HIPS registry. So this, I'll show you again the HIPS registry. So this is a service again at CDS. We use a lot of the CDS services. And these are all the missions that I saw that are available that provide HIPS to the community. You have access to high energy observations. We have worked with these missions to define the metadata and the type of high energy type highest science level data to provide through the tool. And of course, then you have access to high energy data in external data centers. So this is where we're accessing table access protocol from the IVOA. And so HESARC provides this. In this case, we don't curate anything. We're just showing what's provided through the service. I'll show you this again in my next demo. We have a legacy tap ourselves. So we have Exosat and COSB data available there. And then, of course, we have access to Visier. So you can load up any Visier catalog. For the multi-messenger data, as I mentioned very briefly, we've got the LIGO, Virgo, Cagra gravitational wave events. And we have the IceCube neutrino events. And then functionalities, we have like a wavelength slider that's very useful when you see the tree maps crowded with particularly for the catalog, so you can go to your wavelength region's choice. I've already mentioned, I'll show you again, the XMM Newton Epic footprint in the planning tool, and we have the publications feature. And of course, you have the whole multi-wavelength aspect of the tool as well. So let's go to another demo. And so this is, again, showing you how to explore all of these multi-wavelength background skies. So I've gone to M82. I've clicked on the far left, and I'm loading up the different skies. So I said the drop-down menu, the first drop-down menu is ordered by wavelength, and then you have the different default skies that we've chosen in ESA Sky. So we have here an XMM Newton sky, and then for the soft X-ray we have Chandra, Suzaku, Exosat, and we have 2 EFED regions from eRosita. And what I'm doing here again is showing you how to build up a stack. If you know Aladdin Desktop, this looks kind of familiar if you use Aladdin Desktop. And you can play through this. So you're immediately playing through the whole electromagnetic spectrum for your object of interest. This is also great for outreach. I don't have time to talk about that, unfortunately. But if you go to this plus sign, you have the HIPS registry that you can also access. And this is the registry at CDS. There are more than 1,000 all sky, sky surveys available here, Sky HIPS. I'm just sorting the columns, the wavelength columns. So here I'm just looking in the radio. You click on the plus button and it just loads up straight away in ESA Sky, and you've got this then loaded in your stack. And then now I'm filtering. You can filter these columns. So I'm filtering in the high energy and looking at all the high energy background skies that are available. A lot of these have been made by CDS. You see the CDS post, but there's many from JAXA as well. And you can see all the missions here. There's Hitomi, the Suzaku. I'm clicking on Suzaku. So there are a lot. It's great just playing around, going in and taking a look at what is available. Now let's have a look at an example now, searching for an electromagnetic counterpart of a neutrino candidate event. So I open up the multi-messenger window. I go to the neutrinos. I've sorted the time. I'm looking for the event on the 30th of July in 2019. And then I've zoomed in. This is showing the 90% confidence region, the circle. So, and then this is a case for, how to search for data in your region of interest. So I've clicked on imaging observations. I'm now selecting the high energy imaging that's available. So XMM, Chandra, Suzaku. I've clicked on the spectrum and light curves. So we have XMM spectrum, we have Chandra spectra. and the footprints show up in the sky. This is all interactive. You click on a row, it highlights the footprint. Close these just so that it's not too confusing in the sky. In the catalogues, I'm using this slider along the bottom to cut out the radio catalogue. So I've opened up the OU Blazars catalogue. We have a couple of Blazar catalogues. I'm opening up the Fermi catalogues as well. And you can see in a lot of these cases, so it's just the one source is popping up in this region. I've opened up Chandra point source catalogue as well and Epic. So we're zooming in onto this object of interest. And I'm changing the background sky again. So I'm going to XMM Newton, and you can see in the hips that the source is visible. Chandra, there is some, can't quite see here, but there's something there in the Chandra hips. Exosat, not for that object, but there actually is for this object. I think it's Markarian 841 or something. There's even Exosat data available there in the hips. So I've gone back to the XMM Newton hips, and I'm going to now take a look and investigate what's available from other data centers, even more data centers. So I've gone into the external data center tab, and these, for nearly all of these, we're accessing the OBS core table in the IVOA. And in this case, you have the footprint shown on the sky, you have this interactivity again, and you have the download, so a data link download. In this case, this is a Swift UVOT. It's just one file, so you can download it straight away. For HESARC, they don't have the obstacle table, so we worked with the HESARC team to decide what they wanted to show. They are apparently going to be providing an obstacle table, so this will be updated. But we've got master catalogues. I've selected New Star master catalogue, and you have a link to the data. So I'm clicking through and having, and I'm loading up like the quick look data, and you can actually see there's something there in the New Star data, quick look on this object of interest. So you might want to then download these products. Oh, but you have access to the whole archive there as well. And then we can keep investigating. So probably want to go into Vizier. So this is accessing the Vizier TAP, the table access protocol from CDS. And then you need to do some filtering to most astronomers. You know which catalogues you want. You know which catalogues are in Vizier. So you just do the search is very quick. And with these buttons, you can just load up the catalogue either in the field of view, or you can load up the whole catalogue as long as it's not too large. We've got a restriction of 10,000 rows. And then here I was just changing the color. You can change the color, you can change the shape of the source, so to make them stand out a bit more in the tool. As another example, so we're loading up, looking for some more catalogues. So WISE Blazars, and I can immediately find catalogues by Darushko. Clicking on these, so we just see that there's one Blazar, WISE Blazars in this region of interest. So I think we're narrowing down that this is, well, I already knew in advance, this is the object that is suspected to have produced the neutrino event. But we can also check going into the publications. So you just click on the little icons, the yellow and red. They're yellow and red so that you should be able to see them in any kind of background sky. As soon as you click on it, you load up all the observations for that object. You can filter any, so I'm searching for ice cube in the title, and you see there's 35 papers actually already about the ice cube neutrino event and this source. You have the link to ADS where you can open up the papers. You click on here, and these are all the associated sources for that paper, and it loads up as a target list. And you can go through this as well. So there's a lot of data mining that you can do with the tool. And then finally, we've got the planning observations. So we, as I said, we added this recently, a couple of months ago. You can load up the generic EPIC PN footprint in the sky. You can change the RA depths, you can change the position angles, and you can get a feel for, if you have an idea for an observing program, you could, play around with in ESA Sky to get a feel for what you want. And then once you're happy, you copy the coordinates and position angle, and then you can carry on in the specific XMM tools with your proposal. So there are other ways to access ESA Sky. This is just very quickly to mention that we have a Jupyter widget, so you can load up ESA Sky in a Jupyter notebook. We have an Astro Query module, and we have 2 table access protocols. So where you can access, the first one, you can access all data in ESA Sky. The second one is a legacy, so we're repatriating data from ESA. That's available in that tab. I've seen some of you using TopCat, so maybe some of you are familiar. You have access to these tabs as well in TopCat. So, and hopefully the table access interface looked similar to the one in TopCat. Okay, so our near future plans, so what we'd love to do this year, we've actually just last Thursday, released another version of ESA Sky, and we now have user areas. So you have this little, in the header, you have this little icon, little person icon, and you can upload your own tables, you can save sessions, you can even customize the layouts, you can get rid of some buttons and so on. And if you already have an account with the XMM Science Archive or with the Gaia Archive, then it uses the same centralized ESA authentication. So you don't need to create another new username and password. And for future updates, we want to be able to allow users to upload your own images, sharing, so on. We've got lots of ideas. So what we're working on now, we are talking with eRosita to add DR1 access to DR1 data. So we've got the eRosita EDR data, some of it in ESA Sky already. We want to extend the multi-messenger feature, in particular, to include GRBs, seeing as though we're already listening, thanks, to NASA GCN anyway. Why not add more? We'll be providing access, or at least the metadata, to the Euclid early release observations. We are going to update to Aladdin Write 3. My next slide, I'll explain a bit more. But that will mean that there will be FITS image visualization functionality, and you'll be able to change the contrasts in the background sky. We're working on time series data visualization, and then more, we need to update catalogs. We'd love to access the EPIC light curves, have access to highlight. So lots of things to do. And it's impossible to create a tool like this without collaboration. So in particular, the visualization tool that we're using is Aladdin Light, developed by CDS. And as I've already mentioned, we're accessing a lot of the CDS services. We use a lot of the IVOA protocols. Oh, I went too fast. And that makes it easier for us to add new data, since if data centers are all using the same protocols, it's a lot easier. So I'm running out of time. So we have a long list of contributors. Apologies if your name isn't here. If you'd like to collaborate, please contact us. And this is my summary slide. So we're developing the tool for the science community to facilitate data discovery and archival science. It's providing access to hundreds of mission metadata, more than 30 in the high energy, thousands of catalogues, mainly thanks to the connection to Vizier, and more than 1,000 HIPs. And our vision is to link to all major astronomical data centers and help enable your science. So please send us your feedback. You can contact me directly, or you can go to the little feedback button that we have in the header. And if you're using ESA Sky, say please acknowledge us so we know when the community is using the tool as well. So thank you.
Thanks, Deborah, for your talk. Any question?
Axel Schwope, my name. Is it possible to export those images in a format or a quality, say with those overlays, so that they could be directly placed into a publication? So you have a background image, and then you have the sources of that are relevant to you, and whatever overlay is there. So now we would like to export it, not making a screenshot, but something that has coordinates that are in deck.
Yeah, we don't have that functionality at the minute. We just have the screenshot functionality, so it's PNG. But I think once we update, we'll have to look into that once we update into Aladdin Light 3, if it's possible to do this kind of cutout. Yeah, but that's a fantastic science case. Thanks.
Mara Salvato, very similar to the question of Axel, but on the catalog side. So if you are making matches between 3 different catalogs, can you save the matches of this common area with all the catalogs that you were using?
So you can now in the user area, you can save what you're doing. You could share that with collaborators, but do you actually want to download?
A pitch table that is joining all the matches that I've done in a certain area of the sky.
Not as fits, not yet.
Okay, okay, thanks.
Thanks.
More question?
That means you don't actually have a cross-matching tool.
No, we don't. No, but it's been requested by the community before. Yeah. We could work on something that Aladdin Desktop have, for example, where you're beginning to cross-match the mocks, the coverages of the catalogs and the observations. So that is a great use case as well that we should work on. Mm-hmm.
Do you have any connection to SAO image DS9? Or is it just
direct? No, we don't, but we do have some SAMP, and DS9 does work with SAMP. We need to update our SAMP now that it can work with HTTPS. So that's on our list of things to do as well. We have a pretty long list. Yeah.
Any more questions? No? Yeah.
Hi, Erwan Quentin for the Zoom. So you really showed us well how useful it can be for our science. You said that you didn't have time to speak about outreach.
No.
But do you have any plans for the outreach part?
Well, we developed the, well, thanks to our user group, actually, they suggested when you open ESA Sky, you have the clearly science mode and explorer mode. So in explorer mode, you have one different button and you have slightly less buttons, and you have a little dice where you can tour through the sky and you have an explanation in the sky. We've worked with Hubble and NASA teams and we're connecting with their outreach, so it's all automized. So whenever they have a new outreach image, they have a link to ESA Sky on the page, and you can open it up in ESA Sky, and vice versa. We have a link that gives all the description of the outreach image, and then it links back to their news release, that's a really nice feature. We've added the five Euclid early release observations as well. But we work with ESA Education as well, and our priority and our funding is sort of to produce the tool for the science community. So the outreach is extra, but we have other colleagues as well who have been developing things, and yeah.
We don't have time for more questions. Thank you again, Deborah, for the talk.